Hi Taurus, welcome to Yellow Card No Tarot with me. My name is Carole and this is going to be a general reading for you for January 2026. And if you're coming back, I want to welcome you and hoping that you subscribe to the channel. And if you're brand new to the channel, let me know below, comment below and tell me that you've just found me. I like hearing that because that tells me that my videos are sort of getting out there. Yet you never know with the algorithm, right? Whether they are or not. And I know there's a lot of you listening to these, but you haven't subscribed yet. So I'd appreciate it if you did. It would really help me out. Now, let me talk a little bit about how I came about your reading for January. Normally, I like to sit on it and really think about it. I like to switch it up, sometimes to my detriment, because, you know, when you start a different reading or, you know, it takes a little bit of preparation for it. I do have some that I do repeat. I don't have the same reading all the time, the same sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, organized way or whatever that I would do it. So it's kind of how I work, I think. What happened to me about a week ago was there was a windstorm here in Eastern Canada, wind, snow storm, and you know, one of those ones where you're just really feeling really cozy in the house and you're just glad. It just feels nice if you have a fireplace. I don't, but if you can just sit by the fireplace and kind of be in your own world while the storm is outside. But it wasn't working out like that because it was really noisy. There was something going on in front of my house and it was kind of coming and going and it kind of felt like something was flapping but at one point it sounded like there was like something was there just pulling something off of my house. And my cat heard it, I heard it, and it was like, what was that? And then I didn't hear anything since. And the next day I woke up and I looked out the bathroom window, and I live on an acre property, and I could see way back in the corner this white thing right here. And I tried to convince myself maybe it was a piece of snow, or, you know, maybe it was off the neighbor's house, not mine. But sure enough, it was a piece of fascia off my house that was ripped off. And right away I knew that this is a message, and it was such a random event, and to have part of my house ripped off, and since then there's now been a hole there as well. So I'm like, oh, I don't know when it's going to get fixed, but yeah. So if some of you may know, I'm a shamanic practitioner. So in the world of shamanism, everything is alive. And so I thought, you know, I'm going to go and get my rattles, and I'm going to go to this piece of metal, and I'm going to rattle to it. And I'm going to ask it, what are you doing here? Why have you ripped off? And so I did. I started to rattle, and I heard the message, I couldn't stay here anymore. And I was like, oh, there's my answer. It's here to tell me I can't stay where I am right now. And when that happens, when I get a message like that, I apply it to myself. And yeah, I have been working on letting go some things in my life, because if you need to, I knew I needed to change. I knew that there was change going on in order for me, you know, 2026 coming in, and I could just feel that I was letting some things go. And so that was, and I said to myself, well, that's my reading. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at, you know, what is it? What situation have you been in for too long now where you can't stay anymore? And so that'd be the first thing I ask. And then I'm going to find out, okay, let's look at your unconscious. What's coming up for healing? Because there's, you know, you can sit in grief, for example, for a long time and just can't, and don't know how you're going to move on. But it's like a spiral, I find, where you come in and out of grief, right? But the universe is saying here, you know, now it's time for you to finally move on. But in order to do that, it's like you got to grieve like this one last time, and it's got to be a really good grieving session, which means you go deeper and deeper. You know, maybe that's what it is. That's just an example of what we're going to be looking at. So I could be, you know, asking you maybe to, not me, but the tarot will be asking you to you know, let go of a relationship, let go of a person, let go of a situation, an emotion maybe you've been holding on to. And that's what we're going to find in this second part. You know, what is it that needs healing finally? We're going to get to the core issue of it. And then finally, we're going to look at some advice from the tarot around this. How can you start healing it? You know, what can you focus on right away as far as healing it? And then I'll leave you with a video or a playlist from Carole Cares, my other channel, where I have some videos to help you out with maybe grounding or journaling or processing certain emotions, or how to get your anger out, you know, maybe something on anger, maybe something on shame if shame comes up in the reading. All right, so let's start, Taurus. I'm using the Ehrenberg Tarot to begin with, and then I'm going to I'm going to clarify that with the ABAE white deck. AE, I knew it wasn't AB, it was AE white deck. And then I'm going to pull a spiritual spirit animal card for you. And it's I like these because it's just like a final sort of message for you at the end. I also work with spirit animals myself, power animals, and I can retrieve them for you if you're interested yourself in working with a power animal. We're all born with them. They're like guardian spirits, right, for us. And if you're interested, there's a link below in my description box. It's for a 15-minute consultation, and it's free. And you can decide whether or not you want to do it, and then you can decide if you want to not do it as well, right? So there's no obligation whatsoever. I also do personal tarot readings as well, and there's a link there, and you can go on my website, and there's a selection of them. Sometimes if there's something that you think you want to, like a particular reading you want, I can also talk to you about that if you want to just go on my 15-minute consultation, and we can talk about that. Okay, so let's begin. What situation is Taurus sitting in right now that they've been in for too long? So can I have one card for that, please? That one wanted to come out. So you have the Death card and the Tower card in reverse. I can't tell you how powerful these energies are for you to start off with. Incredible beginning for you, Taurus. Wow. What's blocking you from moving on? Wow, this deck's wanting to spit out some cards for you. The Five of Pentacles in reverse and the Queen of Cups. Giving me a lot of information for you. And then, finally, some advice from the tarot. Here we go. Here's one card, the Six of Swords. All right. So, I'm just going to pull your spirit card right now. Your spirit animal card. But I won't tell you what it is until the end. This guy's been out before. I've seen you before. Okay. Wow. Where we begin, Taurus? With the Death card and the Tower card. Oof. So, the Death card definitely, like the fact that both of these, well, the Tower card, the Tower card when it's in reverse is almost, it softens it, like very much softens it. So I want to take worry from you. Take the worry from you that you may have about that. Now the Death card itself, in an upright position, I mean, the Death card is quite gruesome, right? And if there's any card that's going to come out to say that there's something that you need to let go of, is this card. This is the card that I read that as. There's either a person, a relationship, a habit, an addiction, an emotion, something that you've been sitting in for far too long right now, and we're going to get some idea of what it is. But it's like It's in reverse because it's something that has really taken its toll on you, and it's like it's time, right? And I know that it's time, and I've never, out of all the signs I've done so far for this reading, this message has been the most clear for me and for the reader, you, saying that you've got to do this. And the Tower card comes next, and that's sort of the card that's saying you have no choice. You have to do this. The Tower card in reverse tells me that this is the final red flag for you. When the Tower card comes out, it is like a huge baseball bat from the universe and says, listen, we have been giving you these red flags all along. We've been trying to warn you about it. It's time for you to move on, and you know it. And then the Tower card comes in. It's like, we've given you too many warnings, and because you haven't listened, this is what's going to happen now. And it happens. And if you look at all those events in your life that have been major life-changing and painful events in your life, and you think, why did that happen? And we can almost look back and go, I understand now why that happened. But this is in reverse, which tells me that this is the final red flag before the actual Tower moment happens, right? It's like the final warning here that says, you need to, this has to change. You need to let this go. And so I need some clarifiers right now. What is it that Taurus needs to let go? Couple cards to help me with that. What is this red flag for? What are they being asked here to let go finally? Got one card there, and there's the other one. Okay, so you have the Page of Swords, and then you have the Three of Pentacles. Wow, okay. This Page of Swords, first of all, is your inner child. And in particular, it's a part of you, a younger part of you, 4, 5, 6 years old, that has that sword in their hand. And the single sword speaks to me of your authenticity, who you really are. And so you have an inner child that needs healing, that's trying to get in touch with you, that knows who you are. And so I think what's happening here is what needs to be let go of is who you think you are. Because this inner child holds your truth. This is the truth. This is the sword that's going to cut through the bullshit. This is the sword that's going to tell you who you are. You have been living your whole life thinking, excuse me, this was you. This is you. And so maybe you have been putting on this mask. Or maybe we have a few masks we put on depending on who we're with. And so this isn't asking you to give up anything or anyone or going no contact. It's saying you need to give up who you thought you were. And it's time for you now to find out who you are. It's time to drop your mask. It's time to drop your mask. And then the Three of Pentacles comes out. Excuse me, this happens too often. I need to give that up of the clearing my throat, but it just doesn't seem to go away. Excuse me. So Three of Pentacles is my card of co-creating. It's my card of asking for support. It's my card of working together with someone else. And so maybe you need help. Maybe you need to go back into therapy. Maybe you need to see a new therapist. Maybe you need to look at getting some energy work done. Maybe you need to get some shamanic healing done, right? That's something to do with body work, you know. I know my first 2.5 years of my intensive therapy, I had craniosacral body work done. And that helped me immensely to speed things along. But I also had a trauma coach who I still have. And so I'm wondering here if, whether or not, like, the question to me is, you know, are you in therapy? Do you need therapy? Do you need to get some support for this? But because learning how to drop that version of who you thought you were can be quite jarring. It's huge to, it's almost like, well, who am I then? All my life I've led this life of thinking this is me, and now you're telling me this isn't me. Like, that's hard. It's a hard thing to step out, you know. I remember somebody asking me, why am I so afraid to be me? And the answer, I think, is just we can fear so much rejection that the person that we are, our real person, we're afraid that we're going to get rejected if we come out as our real self. And so you may be someone that's, you know, a real people pleaser. Who knows? Like, somebody that has all these masks and you're just not yourself. And you know it. We know it, you know, and maybe you're starting to realize that. You're realizing that, you know what, this person that I've been is just not me anymore. I know it's not, I'm not the same person anymore. And so that's what you're being asked to let go, who you thought you were. And so let's take a look at what you need to heal. Like, what's around that? What sort of emotions do you need to heal that are responsible for you putting on this mask, right? Of having to go out into society with this mask on. What are you hiding? And behind that, the first one that comes back, that comes here, is the Five of Pentacles here. And this card really tells me a lot in an upright position. This is the image of, and this deck takes a snapshot of the Rider-Waite deck. And so this is an image of these two individuals that are cladly dressed, and they're walking through snow, and they have they don't have the proper shoes on, and they don't even look at this place of worship here at the back to consider, you know, to think, you know, maybe I could get some warmth. I could go in and ask for some shoes or some help. You know, that's that whole thing about asking for help. That was your Three of Pentacles right here. Well, this is in reverse. And so when you were younger, I can see here you didn't get support. And I think because you didn't have the support when you were younger, you felt like you didn't matter. This is very much a card of shame, feeling like you don't matter. Could be hopelessness here. And then you get the Queen of Cups to back it up here. And so the Queen of Cups is our feminine side. The Queen is the feminine side. It doesn't have anything to do with our gender. We have a feminine side, and we also have a masculine side. And the whole journey of the Fool is to bring those two into balance, our masculine and our feminine side. And so the feminine side of you, and in particular the feminine of Cups, which is the emotions. Here's your emotions. And so I think you didn't have support for dealing with your emotions when you were younger. And I think what's happening here is, you know, the whole thing about having to give up who you always thought you were. It's going to bring up a lot of emotions for you. And then you're going to not have that support you need because you didn't get it when you were younger. And so you're really going to be almost lost with, how do I deal with this? To start to deal with, well, who is that real me? And in particular, how do I deal with that feeling of I don't matter? Because that's why we put on a mask. We're told when we're younger, you're not allowed to use those emotions, put those away, or you're not allowed to be like that. You're supposed to be like that. And so whatever we were, whatever we thought we were when we came to this world, we're told differently that, no, that's not you. You're supposed to be like this, right? Just think about it. No, you're supposed to be like this. And how many different masks we put on? A mask at school, we put on a mask at home, put on a different one with our friends, you know. Yeah, so I mean, it's an exciting time for you to step out now and, you know, discover who you really are. But it's scary as hell. But there's some big emotions here that you have to deal with that were the ones that made you put on that mask. And those are the emotions of, the big emotion is that emotion of shame, you know, of not being accepted of who you are. So let's have some more clarifiers. I may get something else that, you know, talk about the shame maybe. We'll see what comes out. Maybe one more clarifier, I think, right there. Yeah, so we got the World card in here. Yeah, so I'm going to say that because the World card is in your shadow, in the unconscious, it means that this whole thing about feeling your shame when you were younger, being able to be, or just not being able to be yourself. There was no closure here for you when you were younger, which means you didn't get to have a solid understanding of who Taurus was, right? So the you that came out, and I've already sort of said it, is the one that was formed by you, what other people told you. And so how can you start to heal that? You know, what's the first step here that comes out from the advice from the tarot? And you get the Six of Swords. And the Six of Swords is this card about this woman and this child being taken away to, I mean, look at those beautiful waters behind them, right? Also, waters in my deck represent a lot of emotions here. And so there's going to be a lot of emotions coming up for you right now as you start to move into finding out who you are, as you start to let go of, it's almost like you take off that mask, it falls on the floor, it shatters into pieces, and you start picking your pieces back up one by one, and you become a new you, right? But there's so many emotions that are around that you have to deal with. And so the Six of Swords says, the first thing that it wants you to do, the tarot says, you got to make sure you're in a safe place. You have to be in a safe place in order to heal this. Because if we are in a relationship, for example, with someone that doesn't appreciate us and doesn't respect us for who we are, right? And if you're always walking on eggshells around people that you're with, those aren't the people for you. And if you start to realize that this person that I'm with could be a friend, could be a coworker, but this person that I'm with, if I'm having to put this mask on with them, if I can't be safe with them, if I don't feel safe being me, then they're not meant for me. And I think that's where you first have to start off with, are the people that are close to you, right? And make sure that you're safe. So can I have a couple more clarifiers for Taurus for this safety card right here? See if there's one more card that will go. Oh, you got a few of them here. Okay, I went from 1 to 4. All right, so you got 3 major arcana. So I'm going to say right away that there's big energies that are supporting you right now. Because it's very challenging for what you're being asked to do. It's very difficult. It's going to be very courageous on your part. It's going to take a lot of courage to step out and be you. You start off with the Temperance card. Major arcana card for your big energy, the Emperor. 2 of Swords, and then you get the Sun card. So a bit of a story here for you, but a lot of information. So the Temperance card comes out, and again, this is a card that has a lot of water on it. You have 2 cards here that have water. And as I said, the water for me represents our emotions. and they're flowing, right? So the universe wants to get you to these emotions. They're going to be flowing, and emotions are meant to come in. We process them, we heal them, we feel them, and then they go away. And that's how we heal. This Temperance card has this angel. Do you see how they're dipping the toe in the water, in these emotions? And that's the big message here, that when you get yourself in a safe place, whatever that means for you, that's when you're going to be able to, those emotions that you need to feel, those ones when you take off your mask, the one I talked about, the emotion of shame in particular, they're going to feel quite heavy. And there's going to be a lot of grief associated with that as well, because you're going to grieve that old you, right? That takes a lot of grieving, because it's like you've lived your whole life and you're going to have all kinds of feelings that are going to come up. Like, what did I live this life for? When you start to awaken to the fact that you haven't been living the life you were meant to live. And so this card says, just dip your toe in a little bit with these emotions, a little bit at a time. Remember that this is a process, right? Your healing journey is a process. This is not going to all come at once. You're just beginning to do this. Then you have this Emperor card comes up. And this Emperor, Major Arcana card. Number 4, he's been sitting on this chair for a long time. He's a very controlling, very solid figure. And, this card comes out to say to you, what sort of things have you been, I want you to examine, first of all, what sort of things, what sort of ideas, have you been following all your life? Because this king doesn't even have to worry about this place that he rules right here. He just sits there. He doesn't even have to move, because he represents these rules of society that he's created and we continue to follow. And so it's like, what rules of society have you, or maybe even rules from, your upbringing, what are you continuing to believe and follow about yourself, right? And that's something that you really need to look at, because are they your rules? Are they your belief systems? Or did you pick them from somewhere? Because there's something here that you need to look at as far as that. 2 of Swords comes next. And again, there's some emotions back there. And I'm thinking that, there's going to be a period of your time, a period through this, as you work through this, as the mask comes off. And, we can get quite stubborn. We can go back up in our heads. And we can cross our hearts with those swords, put a blindfold on and decide, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. This is too hard. And then that whole reminder, and that's why you have big energies here for you. It's like, this is a process. You have to remember that this is a process, right? It's not going to happen all at once, because the universe wants to leave you with the beautiful Sun card for the last card. And that's that joy. That's that joy that it's not by chance that this young child is here. And if you think about your little inner child over here, who knows who you were at 4, 5, 6 years old. Interesting that you're beginning and you're ending with children, young parts of you. And the universe wants to bring you back to that 4, 5, 6-year-old child that knew who they were. And also wants to bring you back to, the joy of being who you were, of discovering who you were. It's a beautiful thing when you can finally start to feel comfortable in your own skin and not really give a shit what other people think about you. It takes a while to get there. I'm getting there. But it's a beautiful thing when you can start standing up for yourself and not feeling like you don't matter anymore. It's a great thing. So I'm going to read you your spirit animal here. You have the beaver spirit. Lay a solid foundation. I love that, because you had this Emperor card here that says, well, let's just see what this beaver card says. Spirit is here to tell you about a power within you that is born of spirit, the source from which all life arises. This is the power to establish the sacred connection with the universal consciousness and co-create the world you desire. Co-create, that's that Three of Pentacles, right? You get to create it now. This is the power to establish the sacred connection with the universal consciousness and co-create the world you desire. And that's where that Sun card is going to come in, because this is going to be the world you want, not what this Emperor has told you all your life, right? This is the way it's supposed to be. Know that it takes work to lay a solid foundation for your dreams. If with Spirit as your partner, you bring the twigs and branches of your intentions and desires and spread them across the river of time, you'll be amazed at what you can do. That which you desire will come to you and remain sustainably if you build on a sturdy foundation. Spirit is your partner, helping you along as you change the course of your life in the way that your heart desires. Definitely a beautiful spirit animal for you. Taurus, I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you're working through. This is a very difficult journey, the healing journey, but it's the most important one. So take care, and I'll talk soon. Bye.